what do we say? What's the proper order? Do we say Leishev Basukkah and then Shechianu? Do we say Shechianu and then Leishev Basukkah? That's the dispute we found in the Gemara, and we explained yesterday the different reasons of the machloket. And today, the Gemara is going to conclude this sugya. Okay, so in the art scroll, it's 56a 3. The last thing we have Dorash Rav Nachman bar Rav Chisda on the right side, 56a3. Dorash Rav Nachman bar Rav Chisda. Lo kedivi Rav. Rav Nachman bar Rav Chisda, Rav Nachman was son of Rav Chisda, and he went ahead and he expounded on the halacha. He said, not like the opinion of Rav. Rav said, Omar Sukkah v'achakach man. Rav said that you first have to say the bracha of Leishev Basukkah first, and then you say the Shechianu, which is our custom, right? The first night of Sukkot, we say Leishev Basukkah first, and then we say, after we say Leishev Basukkah, we go ahead and we say Shechianu. And the reason that was given is because the Chiyuva de Yoma Adif, the obligation of the day precedes, is stronger than the Tadir v'she'ina Tadir. And even though Shechianu is more Tadir, Shechianu comes out more frequently every Chag, Pesach, Sukkot, Shavuot, you have Shechianu. And Leishev Basukkah is just this time of the year of Sukkot. Nevertheless, the Chiyuva de Yomat, the obligation of the day, is the specific mitzvah that's this day of Sukkot, which is the mitzvah of sitting in the Sukkah, which is a mitzvah you need to do, an action that you need to do. Your obligation, your responsibility is stronger than the Shechianu, than the saying the Shechianu, which is not the Shechianu is not coming to represent on the Shechianu is not a action mitzvah that you need to do. The action mitzvah, the Torah's obligation that you have tonight, the night of Sukkot, is to sit in the Sukkah. There's a special Torah obligation that came upon you, and that Torah obligation for you to sit in the Sukkah, which is called the Chiyuva de Yoma, the obligation, the mitzvah that you have to do tonight. That obligation, that mitzvah, which is a mitzvah that with the action of going to the Sukkah and sitting in the Sukkah, is stronger than the recognition, than the mitzvah of recognizing that today is a new holiday, that today is a new Zman. Because what does Shechianu say? Shechianu v'kimana v'gena lazman hazeh. We recognize, we thank Hashem for this time period, this new time period that has come upon us, that comes from time to time. That's not a mitzvah of action that I have to do. It's a mitzvah of dibur. It's a mitzvah of speech. And being that that's the case, and it's something that's not unique. It's not unique to this holiday, because this is found in other holidays. I have Shechianu. But what's unique about this, that's unique about this holiday, that's unique, is the sitting in the Sukkah, which is, and therefore that mitzvah should be said, should be recognized first. And therefore you should say Leishev Basukkah first, and then you should say Shechianu. There are halachic opinions that say that the second night of Sukkot, you should also say Leishev Basukkah first, and then Shechianu, because this is the chiyuva of the Yoma, the same logic that applies the first night, that you should say Leishev Basukkah first, should apply the second night, as Mark Ashby said asked last time, right? The obligation of the night should come first. However, the halacha is not that way. We're going to see the halacha is the second night we flip it. The second night we say Shechianu first, and then we say Leishev. And
Why
the
would you
reason
say it twice? Why would you say it 2 days in a row, Shekiano?
right, because outside of the land of Israel, we keep 2 days of the first days of the holiday, and therefore, because we keep 2 days, we give honor to each of the days as if that's the first day of the holiday. And being that that's the case, we say Shechianu on the second day the same way we say Shechianu on the first day, right? Because there was a time period that they did not know when the first day of the holiday was going to be. So therefore, they kept the first 2 days of the holiday, and therefore we still keep the first 2 days of the holiday, even though we have a calendar. We keep them as Yom Tov, and we say Shechianu as if this is the first day of the holiday. Now, so the Gemara continues. Rav Sheshet bereid Rav Idi Amar, Rav Sheshet, the son of Rav Idi, the way he said, Sukkah v'achei azman. He says you first have to say Leishev b'sukkah, and then you say Shechianu. And the Hilchata and the halacha is we do Sukkah, we do Leishev b'sukkah, and then we do achei azman, and then we do Shechianu. And the reason that many explain, meaning our Gemara says the reason why Sukkah comes first is because that's the obligation that you have of the day. That's your unique obligation that you have today. And that obligation that you have, that mitzvah that's upon you, takes precedence to the Shechianu. But there's another idea. There's another idea is that there's another thing that's going to weigh in, because we say the Shechianu, when you say Shechianu after the Leishev, the Shechianu goes both on the Yom Tov, on the holiday. You're recognizing this new time period, say Shechianu. And the Shechianu is also going on the mitzvah of Sukkah. The mitzvah of Sukkah, and therefore, it would make sense, good morning, that you first say Leishev Basukkah first. And then after you say Leishev Basukkah, you say Shechianu. The Shechianu will go also on the Sukkah and on the holiday, and on the Kiddush, on the uniqueness of the holiday. However, the second night of Sukkah, we already sat in the Sukkah the first night, so I should remind everyone to say Birkat Torah first. Make sure everyone say, before you learn, make sure you say, you know what I mean? Al Divrei Torah, La Tokbet Divrei Torah first. But the second night of Sukkah, where you already sat in the mitzvah of Leishev already, you already sat already in the Sukkah. So the second night of Sukkah, the Shechianu is not going on the sitting in the Sukkah. It's not a Shechianu v'kimana v'gyon lazman on the sitting of the Sukkah. It's going on the fact of this holiday, of the Kiddush, of the uniqueness of the holiday, and that, therefore, you should put the Shechianu right after the Kiddush. You say Kiddush, then say Shechianu, and then say Leishev Basukkah. Because the Shechianu is, if the Shechianu would be going on the sitting in the Sukkah, so it makes sense that the Shechianu should be at the end. But if the Shechianu is not going on that, so then those opinions say that even though the Gemara discusses the obligation of the day comes first, but the Gemara but yet we're going to hold that we're not going to use that logic of the obligation of the day come first in a situation when the Shechianu is not going on the obligation of the day. Meaning to say like this is the question you could ask. How is it in halacha? The halacha states, what does it say in Shulchan Aruch? It says in Shulchan Aruch that the second night of Sukkah, Belel Yom Tov Sheni Ume Kiddush, say Kiddush, the next second night of Sukkot. And how do you do it? You say Uzman Acharav Miyad. You say Shechianu right after the Kiddush, and then you say Leishev Basukkah. In contrast to the first night of Sukkah, that you went ahead and you said the Leishev Basukkah and then the Shechianu. Right? So when you learn you learn the Gemara and you learn the Shulchan Aruch, there's a big question on the halacha. What's the big question on the halacha? And maybe I want to suggest an answer. What those opinions would hold. The question is, how could the halacha be that the main opinion of halacha is that the second night there's a flip? You go ahead and you say leishev basuk. You say shechianu first and then leishev. Is that correct? But the Gemara says the chiyuva, the yoma adif. The Gemara says the reason why the first night of Sukkah you mentioned the leishev first is because that's the chiyuva the yoma. That's the obligation of the day. That's the mitzvah that you have to do today. And that mitzvah they have to do today comes before the shechianu. So the second night of Sukkah, that's also the obligation of the day. It's to sit in the Sukkah. So shouldn't that reason that applies the first night apply the second night of Sukkah, and therefore the leishev basukah should come first? And that actually is the opinion, by the way, of some of the Rishonim. But some of the Rishonim, the Ravya holds that no, don't switch. You don't make any switch the second night of holiday. The Chafetz Chaim brings down that the Radvaz and the Marshal hold like the Even Avi Azri. You always say Sukkah first, and then you say Shechianu. Now, so what would be the logic? What would you say the logic? But the Gemara says the obligation of and that could be their reason. But yet the halacha doesn't follow that way. What does the halacha say? You flip it. But how does it fit with the Gemara? Right? But very good. But now that you are going into the sukkah, you're in the sukkah. It's the second night of Sukkah. Why wouldn't the reason of the obligation of the day apply? So see now, if you look at the Mishnah Berurah, the Mishnah Berurah says, this opinion that says that you say Sukkah and then Shechianu, it's not called a hefsek, that which you place the leishev basukah before the shechianu. Those opinions that say you say the leishev before the shechianu, the second night of Sukkah, which it's not called a hefsek, because really you would say that if the shechianu is not going on the Sukkah, so then the leishev could serve as an interruption. I said the kiddush, and then I go ahead and I say leishev basukah, and then I say shechianu. According to that opinion, the second night of Sukkah. That you could say that's an interruption, because what is the bracha of leishev basukah doing at that point? It's not, the shechianu, because I'm saying the shechianu after the leishev, and the shechianu is not going on the leishev. It's not going on the leishev. Therefore, the shechianu would be therefore there's a concern that maybe the leishev basukah in between is an interruption between the kiddush and the shechianu. So how can I say leishev in the middle? So the Mishnah Berurah says, the Chafetz Chaim says, those opinions, it's not called a hefsek. Because what do you do when Yom Tov comes down on Motzei Shabbat? You have Yak Nahas, Yayin, Kiddush, Ner, Havdalah Zman. So when Motzei Shabbat, if Yom Tov is Saturday night, Motzei Shabbat, you open up with Hagefen, and then you say the brach of Kiddush, and then you do a Ner, then you say Borim Marahei. So you're having things between the Kiddush and the Shechianu, and the Shechianu is going on the holiday, and yet you say things in between. Before you say the Shechianu, what is the Shechianu going on the holiday? And yet you're interrupting. You're interrupting with the Havner and the Havdalah. So we don't consider that an interruption. So I would say, I would suggest, we have to look in the commentaries. I would suggest that even though the Gemara says chiyuv, the whole discussion of the Gemara that the obligation of the day precedes the shechianu, that only would be if it makes sense that the shechianu is also going on the obligation of the day. If this meaning, like the first night of Sukkah, you have brach of kiddush, and you have the leishev basukah, and then you have the shechianu. So it makes sense that the shechianu should be in that spot, because the shechianu is going on the sukkah, it's going on the kiddush, so it's not an interruption. Putting the leishev there, the first night of sukkah, fits in because the shechianu goes on the sukkah and it goes on the holiday. But the second night of sukkah, we are in the second night of Sukkah. The shechianu does not go on the eating of the Sukkah, because you already on the midst of eating of the Sukkah, because you already ate in the Sukkah the first night. So even though technically the obligation, if you put one against the other face off, the obligation of the day is greater. The second night of Sukkah, the obligation of sitting in the Sukkah is greater than the mitzvah of shechianu. But there's something here that says it doesn't fit. I can't go ahead and say the shechianu after the leishev. I can't say the leishev sukkah first because this opinion would say when that's going to be considered, it's not appropriate spot for you to go ahead, and it's better. They hold it's better to say the shechianu first, because you're giving off an impression. When you go ahead and you say shechianu after the leishev, so either this opinion would hold the leishev is an interruption. You're creating a situation of interruption that's not necessary. So just put it later. So it's preferred. So therefore, it says the second night. There's no, we can't discuss the merit of the mitzvah obligation of sukkah against the shechianu. If it's true, the obligation of sitting the sukkah is greater, but it doesn't fit to throw in when the chef. It's better if you have the opportunity to place it. It's better to place it. It's stronger to place it right after to connect it to the kiddush. Okay, it's something I just want to think about a little bit about this halacha. And the Gemara itself, the Gemara itself gives us a ruling over here. The Gemara says, "V'hilchata sukkah v'achasman." The Gemara says the halacha is you first say leisha b'sukkah, and then you go ahead and you say shechianu. If I want to suggest just a little possible. Want to say something?
They said why they chose that way?
It would seem that the reason for the choosing of that way.
We're talking about the second night or both nights?
Oh, very good. So it's not clear in the Gemara if it's both night or the first night only. But the reason is the Gemara says chiyuv d'yoma adif, because the obligation of the day that takes precedence.
That's for the Torah, right?
Very good. Right. The mitzvah of sitting in the sukkah is the mitzvah min Torah. The bracha that you say on the sitting of the sukkah is rabbinic, meaning the rabbis say, all the mitzvahs that you do, you make a bracha over l'asiyata. Before you perform the mitzvah, you say a bracha, and therefore, before you eat your meal in the sukkah, the rabbis say you should make a bracha on this mitzvah of dwelling and eating in the sukkah. So the bracha is rabbinic. The rabbinic bracha on a biblical mitzvah. In contrast to shechianu, there's no biblical mitzvah that you're accomplishing that the bracha is accomplishing. It's coming to It's coming to you. You're fulfilling. You're about to fulfill as a result of the Shechianu. In contrast to the Leisha Sukkah, there's a biblical mitzvah you're about to fulfill after you say the Leisha Sukkah. You're about to fulfill this mitzvah of sitting in the Sukkah. You should know there's a nice discussion when you go into the regarding the bracha of Leisha Sukkah. Should you say the bracha of Leisha Sukkah standing or not? And part of the discussion is because, let's see, you want to make sure that the bracha is before you perform the mitzvah. So let's see if here in Shulchan Aruch, then the Shulchan Aruch, according to the Rambam, he says, say that Kiddush, in Taf Reish Mem Gimel, he says you first say Bar Pei Gefen, then you say the bracha of Kiddush, then you say Leisha Sukkah, then you say Shechianu, and the Shulchan Aruch says because the Shechianu goes on the Kiddush of the day and on the mitzvah of Sukkah, and that's why the Shechianu is last. But the second night where the Shechianu is only going on the Kiddush of the day, so it comes earlier. It's connected to the Kiddush. Doesn't belong after the Leisha Sukkah. The Rambam, he says, Mikadesh Mu'umat. The Rambam says on Yom Tov, you need to make Kiddush standing. You need to make Kiddush standing. And you say the Bracha Leisha Sukkah standing, and then you sit down. And then after you sit down, then you go ahead and you say Shechianu. The Ashkenaz rabbi, the Ramah, says we don't have that custom. He says we sit down when we say the Kiddush. Now, why does the Rambam say that you make Kiddush standing? It's interesting that the Shulchan Aruch says the Rambam says you make it a standing. And he doesn't, it's not, we have to look in halacha, what the Sfardim actually, do they, does that mean that that's the custom of the community or not? But he says the Mishabura, why does the Rambam say you have to stand when you say Kiddush? Because according to the Rambam, the sitting of the Sukkah is already the beginning of the mitzvah. So if you come into the Sukkah and you sit down and you say Kiddush in a sitting position, you already started the mitzvah. And you want to do the bracha before the mitzvah, just like when you put on your tefillin. Many people make a mistake. They start tying the tefillin, they tie the tefillin, they say the bracha right after they start. You have to say the bracha before you tighten it, to make sure you say the bracha before you tighten the tefillin. You say the bracha before you dip the glass in the mikveh. You say the bracha before, not after. So we had
You're saying not before you.
you say where it's loose before you tighten it on your hand, right, Charles? Before you tighten the tefillin on your hand, you have to go ahead and say the bracha. So I think people make a mistake. People have it already tight, and they say the bracha. Then they say the bracha. That's a mistake. That means you already did the mitzvah. You're saying the bracha. Now, technically, it's not a bracha in vain because they're still involved in the mitzvah. So they're saying the bracha. It's every moment. It's another moment before the mitzvah. It's not like lulav and etrog. Once you pick it up, you say it's already finished. The mitzvah's gone. You can't say the bracha afterwards. If you picked up the lulav and etrog in the proper fashion, then you get into halachic issues. Once you did the mitzvah in the right way, you can't. Let's say you dipped the glass in the mikveh. Now you want to say you can't take a bracha after you dipped it. Too late.
So on that basis, let's say somebody put the tefillin of Yad on and then they spoke by mistake. They have to say on the rosh, right?
Correct.
But it's already on their head. So how can they say the bracha?
Again, what happened? They spoke between the Shayan and Sharosh?
Right, after the Yad, they said something, they spoke. Then the halachas, they have to say another bracha.
Yeah, but they say it before they're supposed to say it before they put on the Sharosh, right? And what's it? Right? That's like if they spoke between the Shayan and the Sharosh, and now you go ahead and you say the bracha. You say the bracha. So they got the mitzvah on the Shalyad, but they interrupted. Now they have to say a new bracha on the Sharosh. The Ashkenazim, they say they always say one bracha on the shalyad, and they say a bracha shalosh. Always. And that's the, and even the Ashkenazim, when they put on the shalyad, they have a mind they should go for the shalyad and the shalosh. And then when they put on the shalosh, it's like a second bracha, say a bracha, it's like a second bracha. But they just like the Sfardim hold the shalyad, the bracha on your hand covers the hand and the head. So when you put on the shalosh, you the Ashkenazim hold we have like it's like a second bracha on the shalosh. Therefore, if the Ashkenaz interrupted between the first and the second, they would have to say two brachot on the shalosh.
So 3 brachot in total.
In that situation, if they interrupted. Now, I was a kid. I prayed for Moshe Feinstein, and he had an interesting thing when he put on the shalyad. He put on the shalyad. He only did 3, like around 3 straps. Then he put on the shalosh, and then he went back to do the 7. And the reason why he did that would seem because he wanted to make the interruption. It would minimize the interruption between the shalyad and the shalosh. Because the bracha that you said on the shalyad is also going on the shalosh, even for the Ashkenazim. So if I go ahead and I do only like 3 straps around, or I just hold it in place by doing like 3 straps, I technically did the mitzvah's done. Now I put on the shalosh and then I go back. That's what he did. I took pictures because it was like a phenomenon to me. Like, look what he's doing. He's going. Why is he going back? He puts on the shalosh, then he goes back to the shalyad. He was going back to do the straps. He wanted to minimize time between the shalyad and the shalosh. People have to be very careful when you're putting on the shalyad, you're putting on the shalosh. You shouldn't dilly-dally. You shouldn't delay unnecessarily between the shalyad and the shalosh because the bracha on the shalyad is going for the shalosh as well, and therefore you should not delay. Isn't that clear? You should not delay in what you do. You can't say good morning to anybody during that time. Someone walks into shul, you can't respond. After you put it on, then you go over to the guy and say, "I'm sorry, I couldn't say good morning to you." But you can't respond. You can't make a hefsek between the shalyad and the shalosh. They're very important. So he says the Rambam held that you would make kiddush on and I have some relatives that some Iranian Sfardim, and I think that's what they do. They'll make the leishev Sukkah standing, and they'll make the kiddush standing on the night of Sukkah, because the Rambam holds you have to make the bracha before you begin the mitzvah, and therefore you should say the bracha while standing, say the kiddush while standing. Now, the Rush holds that the bracha, see, the bracha is on the main bracha is on the eating, right? Because if you would just sit in a sukkah without eating, you would not say the bracha leishev sukkah. So therefore, being that the obligation, the bracha is on the main mitzvah is the eating, living in the sukkah. So since you didn't start eating yet, so it's appropriate. You could be sitting down, according to the other opinions, and you could say the bracha of leishev sitting down. Now, you could also you could ask the question even on the Rambam, that the Rambam just asking it, talking out loud. Being in a sukkah is a mitzvah. So even standing in a sukkah is really, you're doing a mitzvah. So Rambam makes difference between standing and sitting. Sleeping is also a mitzvah in a sukkah. It's also a mitzvah to sleep in a sukkah. Really, we're obligated. The Gemara says you're obligated to sleep in a sukkah. The only reason why people don't sleep, anybody who doesn't sleep in a sukkah has to explain themselves. Why are you not sleeping in a sukkah? So some give reasons because the climate is cold here, in certain climates. In Europe, it was cold. In Israel, the common custom is, I think, it's to sleep in the sukkah. Everybody, I think, is sleeping in the sukkah in the Holy Land. So there are different reasons that people suggest why people don't sleep in a sukkah, but outside of Israel. But ideally, if you can make a sukkah in a way, so I think you make a separate sukkah for a person who's married, have a little sukkah for you and your wife, and have a sukkah for the rest of the family. That will be the ideal. Make a little sukkah for yourself and your wife. I've seen that done in Israel. That's what I had an uncle had a separate. Him and his wife had their sukkah, and the rest of the family had their own sukkah. I think that's the suggestion I would say. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you for joining. Who do we have the pleasure?